Hey everybody, I'm back with another episode of The Shift with Gina. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And please let me know your thoughts on this episode and any of the past episodes that we've been doing lately. We've had a lot of great content out lately. I was really happy with the last episode we did on the birth control misinformation article from Washington Post. I hope you've been enjoying the past couple interviews that I did. The last one I did was with Landon Starbuck, and before that, Katie Faust on surrogacy. And today we're going to talk about a viral video about a woman doing plant medicine in Peru. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience with plant medicine. Yes, I did plant medicine long before the mainstream really knew what it was, because I think in the last 5 to 8, 10 years, it's become much more mainstream to talk about, right? Yeah, I did it before anyone really knew what ayahuasca was. But first, let's watch this video because someone on the right shared this video and they were like, I don't know why this girl's getting any hate. She's not bothering anyone. Let her live her life. So this is a girl who is like singing, rapping about doing plant medicine. And for those of you who are just listening to the audio, I guess I'll just try to paint the picture. I don't even know how to describe this. She's dreadlocked, got a lot of dreadlocks in her hair, heavy makeup, really big septum piercing, a lot of tattoos. She's wearing a lot of like native jewelry, like bones. I can't even explain it. I'm sorry if you can't see it. If you're listening to audio, I would encourage you to watch the video. For those of you who are watching, let's take a look.
I've been chilling in the mountains of Peru, drinking ayahuasca with the shamans too. Cup of San Pedro to shift the mood. I've been learning about myself, finding out my truth. I've been healing my soul, tried the best medicine. I've been learning shit from the aliens, like how we're all connected to the pyramids, and how we used to use them for time traveling. Now I'm astral projecting, remembering how to navigate the ether. Sound heals didgeridoo, singing bowls every lyric, medicinal truth. Sound transforms DNA, my mind's making things move. Kidney infection, I healed that too. I've been doing things your brain can't compute. They'll say it's magic, but you could do it too. Just open up your heart and let it channel through.
She's chilling in the mountains of Peru, drinking ayahuasca with the shamans too. Cup of San Pedro to shift the mood. San Pedro is also known as huachuma. It's made from a cactus, and it is a psychedelic drug that is, they say that San Pedro / huachuma is for the day and ayahuasca is for the night. San Pedro is not as strong as ayahuasca is. I mean, I can kind of get into all the differences. Let me just say, I could have easily become this girl. Easily. I mean, let's look at another photo of her first. So here's another photo of her. You know, she's all, I actually have not visited her social media pages, but I've been seeing a lot of her on Twitter because everyone's sharing her content, and, you know, she's all into plant medicine and probably as much into, psilocybin, the magic mushrooms, as much as anything else. And somebody tweeted this and they say, when you take this many psychedelics, you open up portals to hell. And then he kind of explained his own experience with plant medicine. And I just want to say, like, this is not a past that I'm proud of. Like, I had to bring all of this to my first confession when I converted to Orthodoxy, because, you know, participating in these pagan, demonic shaman circles and rituals is not what we're meant to do. And not only as Christians, but just as humans. So I guess I'll tell a little bit about my own experience, because I want everyone to know that, you know, this kind of stuff, even though it's framed as self-care and it's framed as really great healing for people who have been through trauma and who've been through difficult times in their lives, like, this is not the answer. And there are much better ways to heal yourself. I started doing plant medicine in 2012. That was the very first time I did ayahuasca. And again, this is before anyone knew what ayahuasca was. I was in graduate school at the time at Harvard, and I was studying a lot about death and dying. And I was training to be a grief counselor. I was volunteering a lot in hospice homes, and I was aiding and watching people die. And it was a time in my life where I was really searching. I grew up, for those of you who don't know, I don't know if I've mentioned this much before, I grew up in a non-denominational Protestant megachurch. So like imagine Rick Warren or Hillsong, that's basically the kind of church I grew up in. You know, huge piece of land. There was a youth building that was across the lake from the big church building that had a rock climbing wall and basketball courts and a little cafe. And the second floor was all Xboxes and foosball tables. And the auditorium had like huge fog machines and the whole sound set up and everything. And every year during Christmas, we did an immersive play called The Journey, where they essentially turned the entire grounds into Bethlehem, and there were different gazebos where you could watch them act out certain parts of the nativity. And, you know, it was a huge mega church. That's what I grew up in. And of course, with this sort of Protestant non-denominational theology, it's very loose. There's really no boundaries. There's really no structure. There's definitely no hierarchy. So it has very, very low retention rates compared to Orthodox churches, and even compared to many Roman Catholic churches. Just a very, very low retention rate. They have a high rate of getting people in the doors, but those people very quickly leave. And so I left the church as soon as I went to college. I was like, screw this. This is all consumerism. You know, I was like anti-capitalism. I can't believe these churches are, you know, they're like shopping malls, and they kind of are. But I was really searching in graduate school, and a friend of mine invited me to my first ayahuasca ceremony. It was in Ojai, California. For those of you who know California, you know, Ojai is like the place. If you're going to do ayahuasca anywhere in California, it's probably going to be Ojai. And I did ayahuasca with a pretty large group of people in this couple's home. I'll never forget, this couple had a baby too. Their baby was like under a year old, and the baby was like there when everyone was doing ayahuasca. And I did ayahuasca with Gerard Butler, the actor from 300. Yeah, like Leonidas. Like I did ayahuasca with Leonidas. He was this really nice guy. From what I remember, a very insecure guy, which is, I think, the case for many actors. But a very, very nice guy. He was there in the same room doing ayahuasca with me. There were a couple of other actors there. It was like the scene to do ayahuasca. And the whole thing with ayahuasca is you take it at night, and there's a shaman who leads the ceremony. And then you kind of go to your own bed, your own space, and you're in the medicine throughout the night. It's very common to purge, like puke. It's very common to go to the bathroom and empty yourself on the other end. Many people will spend like hours on the toilet. And a lot of people recall that they're throwing up snakes. They see themselves throwing up snakes. And so this is all framed as a way to cleanse yourself of bad energy, cleanse yourself of things that are stuck inside of you energetically, and to confront the spirit world that is meant to help you heal and open your eyes to the other dimensions of the universe. And when I was learning about ayahuasca, I learned that it was derogatory to call it a hallucinogenic because it's used as a medicine, right? The natives used it as a medicine. Indigenous people, I don't think natives is like politically correct, is it? Whatever. The indigenous people used it as a medicine. And I even remember back then, like, I think there was one lone rogue National Geographic article that covered the use of ayahuasca in Peru and Mexico. And they said that it was used to heal certain types of cancers, used to heal severe depression and suicidal ideations. And I just took it because I was searching for some kind of spiritual awakening. And that first experience of ayahuasca wasn't really much, but the many other times that I did ayahuasca after that, I had like memorable experiences. I did ayahuasca in Australia. I did it and when I did it in Australia, it was like on indigenous land. And then I did it in Peru many times. And I did a lot of other plant medicine when I lived in Peru. I lived in Peru for almost a year. I lived in Urubamba, which is in the Sacred Valley of Peru, about an hour away from Cusco. I did a lot of San Pedro. I mean, I even did a ceremony where a small group of us, probably like 8 of us, helped prepare the medicine. We like got the cactus and we cooked it and we scraped it all off and we cooked the medicine, quote, medicine ourselves. and we took it during the day. And I've done a lot of plant medicine from like 2012 to 2015 was when I was doing plant medicine in these different places around the world. And there was trauma that I was trying to access and heal. There were a lot of things in my life that I was trying to make sense of, particularly the fact that when I was 26 years old, I found out that I had a brother and a sister that my parents never told me about. And that was extremely hurtful for me and really made me question a lot of things about my own family. And there's a lot of other things that I was going through I don't even need to dive into, but I was doing plant medicine with the expectation that it would help me heal and it would help me access my own inner child, right? So this girl in the video talks about healing her soul child. And it's all about like love and opening yourself up to the world. And how do you integrate the medicine into your everyday life after this? I mean, I was a total hippie, you guys. I shaved half of my head. I dyed my hair blue. I was walking around barefoot all the time, rolling my organic tobacco cigarettes and living off the land and hiking and every day. And I was a total hippie loser back then. So it's funny. It's hard for people to believe that now because I'm like, such a mom, like such a square mom now. But I look through these videos of the girl like this and I'm like, that could have easily been me. I was going down that path. I was hanging out with a lot of people who said that they were shamans and were doing a lot of plant medicine. And this is like the life. And I just want to say that I understand in a lot of ways why so many people are turning to plant medicine now. So first of all, like I said earlier, it's becoming a bigger part of the mainstream conversation. You have a lot of figures like Aubrey Marcus, Joe Rogan, who are talking about psychedelics being used as a form of healing. And they always frame it as a sort of like self-help, self-enlightenment, discovery type of thing that you're going to do in your life to improve yourself and become more awake and more aware. And so that's a huge part of it, right? Is that it's being marketed a certain way. It's being sold a certain way. And we're also at a point in our culture where we have more spiritually dead people than ever before. Our culture is significantly lacking the support of religious communities, the decline of organized religion, particularly the decline of Christianity and the church as a structure and as a hierarchy has really fallen away from American culture. And that's left a lot of people who are searching for something spiritually because they feel empty inside and because the conversations online often point to spiritual well-being. And we talk about spiritual well-being in ways that we never really did 5 to 10 years ago. It's a very common topic now to talk about. When you're talking about self-improvement and self-discovery, you talk about the spiritual side of it. And so there are a lot of people now who are turning to plant medicine. And I see a lot of influencers now who even do like microdosing on mushrooms and things like that. And they have these ceremonies and plant medicine healing ceremonies. And I just see a lot of people who are searching the way that I was searching. And I think that it's first and foremost, we have to be very honest. And just like the tweet that I shared earlier said, when you take psychedelics, it opens up portals to hell. And I want to be very clear about something that I have learned, and I think many people will learn as they walk deeper in their faith, is that there is a spirit world that we will never fully understand as humans. And one of the things that I love about Orthodox Christianity is that it recognizes the mystical parts of the world and of things like the sacraments and of our faith that we are never able to logically and fully explain and understand as humans because we are imperfect human beings. But God understands the spirit world. And there are spirits and demons and things happening spiritually that we don't even really fully see or understand. And even when I was listening to a lot of content from Orthodox priests about meditation, right? They warned against sitting down and completely emptying your mind with nothing else to fill it. Because a lot of meditation practices are you sit and you just empty the mind and you go kind of blank. And that's the sort of healing process of getting all the chit chat out of your mind and just trying to rest the mind. But the problem with this kind of meditation, as I've heard many Orthodox priests talk about, is when you just empty out the brain without anything to fill it, you open the door for a lot of things to enter your mind and enter your body, enter you mentally and spiritually, without fully understanding what these things are and how to combat them. And so when we're talking about plant medicine and meditation, whatever, we have to acknowledge and be humble enough to know that there is a spirit world that we do not fully understand, and that we should not be trying to enter these spirit realms. We should not be trying to access these places as if we are our own God, because that's really what's happening in a lot of these cases, is that you either follow Christ and follow God, or you act like you are your own God. And this is kind of the crux of a lot of the things happening in our culture today, is people pretend like they are their own God. They create their own morality. They create their own belief system. And this is the downfall. This is the struggle that a lot of modern people are struggling with. And when you open up these portals, and when you take psychedelics and these plant medicines in an attempt to heal yourself, all you're doing is opening yourself up to something that is evil and unknown. And it is completely useless and unproductive to try to find healing in anything other than the fully healed one. And the fully healed one is Christ. And this kind of stuff it seems really great in our modern society. And I think a lot of women, of course, this show is about women's issues. I'm not going to speak about, the main reasons why men turn to plant medicine. I mean, like I'm sure that there are many reasons why, and men have their own unique reasons why that are different than women. But I think a lot of women today, particularly, you look at the rates of mental illness, depression, anxiety, antidepressant use. You look at the rates of infertility and these women that are lonelier than ever. They're not getting married. They're not having children. They're not a part of strong communities. They don't even really have strong connections to their own family. You have a lot of these women that are alone, that are floating around. They don't have anything to ground them. So it's very easy to look at plant medicine, ayahuasca, San Pedro, and think that this is the answer to really enlighten myself and learn more and find peace, find inner peace. So they turn into themselves. I'm going to go deeper into myself. Why would you go deeper into yourself when you yourself are sick? When you yourself are the issue? Why would you go deeper into that? It's like turning to the problem for your solution doesn't even logically make sense in the first place. But I get why a lot of these women are turning to this, because they feel like this is going to be the way to find healing and to feel like they are whole again. I think there's a yearning for a lot of women to feel whole and to feel supported and to feel like they are a part of something bigger than themselves, because women can't articulate this, but I say this all the time. The deeper that you go into self-love and self-discovery, the more unhappy and discontent you will be, because the self is a bottomless pit that does not have the answers for you, because we are all fallen human beings that are totally imperfect. And so if we keep turning to ourselves for the answers and turning to ourselves to try to find the healing, it's never, ever going to happen. And let me tell you that from experience. I spent many years turning into myself and trying to discover myself. And it only results in extended periods of isolation and hopelessness. And you get little pockets and little moments where you're like, oh, that feels good. I feel better. But it will always make you spiral deeper and deeper. Like if you look at this girl, like even just the way that she looks, like that's not it. I don't think there's anyone who really wants to look like that and say that it's healing. So when I see stuff like this, I'm really reminded of my own past that I had to repent of. And I gladly repented of, because I was ready to move on. And I'm so happy to have found orthodoxy. Whenever I confessed my use of plant medicine to my priest, I asked him, I was like, do I need an exorcism? I'm not kidding. Like, I sat through a lot of ayahuasca ceremonies where they called in spirits, and there were people speaking ancient tongues. And there was a lot of darkness that I saw and I experienced and I felt in my bones. Really scary stuff. There were a lot of ayahuasca ceremonies where I was lying there in the dark and I looked up at the sky and I was convinced that the sun would never, ever come up again. And I cannot explain to you the level of hopelessness and fear that I felt. I felt like I was stuck in infinity, and it was so scary. And there were a lot of spirits and things happening that I don't really know and could make sense of. And I asked my priest, do I need an exorcism? And we kind of laughed about it, but he said, this is what the sacraments are for. I had been baptized when I was 12 years old in my Protestant church. So when you're baptized once, we believe in one baptism for the remission of sins. So you don't need to be baptized again, as long as you were baptized in the name of the Father and Son and the Holy Spirit, and in the name of the Trinity. So when I was confirmed into the church, my husband as well, because he was baptized as a baby in the Roman Catholic Church, we just had to go through chrismation. And that was a sacrament that we were given in order to enter the church. And my priest said to me that this is the cleansing. This is how you renounce all of the things that you did in your past. And that was enough. And it makes me really emotional to think about today, because I see so many women who are looking for that cleansing in other places. And I want you all to know that if I can find it somewhere other than plant medicine, if I can come out of plant medicine, I should try to find some photos, because you wouldn't even recognize me. I still sometimes can't even believe it was me. But if I can leave that world behind and leave behind this sort of spiritual new age nonsense, and if I can find the truly healed one, so can you. I mean, I'm not fully healed yet. Of course, I'm still healing, but at the very least, I've found the truly healed one. And that's what I wish for all other women too, and men as well. But, we're talking specifically here about women. And I think that there are a lot of women out there who are searching, and you're not going to find it in ayahuasca. Trust me. Trust me. I don't really like talking about my plant medicine past, but at the same time, I think it's good for women to know that you can come back from it and that it's not the answer. Trust me, from personal experience, it's not the answer. So anyway, that's all I've got for today. Thanks guys for joining. Next time we'll cover another topic and we'll talk more. I think we've got a topic coming up about marriage and motherhood. So if there's anything in particular you want me to cover, let me know. Drop it in the comments section. Don't forget to share this episode and share any of the other episodes that you enjoy. And thanks guys. See ya.